Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Scott Miller. I am the current Medina County Administrator, and thank you all for joining me this afternoon as we discuss the proposed 0.2% sales tax for the purposes of criminal and administrative justice services. I'm going to go ahead and go through the slide presentation, and then after that presentation, I'm going to open up for questions. This will probably last maybe a half hour, depending on the number of questions that I receive. As you know, and as you have probably heard, the commissioners have proposed placing a 0.2% sales tax for criminal and administrative justice services on the May 8th ballot. The last time that a sales tax was increased was when it was originally implemented in 1971 at 0.5%. That was the first sales tax, and that is really the only tax other than the property tax that supports general fund operations. The current sales tax is comprised of a state portion, which is 5.75%, a school sales tax, which is 0.5%, and a county sales tax at 0.5%. So the total sales tax in Medina County is 6.75%. The state increased their portion of sales tax several years ago by 0.25%. Currently, Medina County is on the low end. There are approximately 66 counties in the state of Ohio with sales tax rates in excess of the 6.75%. This 0.2% will take us up to 6.95%, which is still less than the majority of counties in the state of Ohio. And just the counties surrounding us all have sales taxes in place of, I know Cuyahoga is 8%, Wayne is 6.5%, Summit is 6.75%, Lorain is 6.75%. This sales tax will put us ahead of we will be higher than the surrounding counties in most cases. Why do we need a sales tax increase? Medina County, as you know, has increased in population and continues to be one of the fastest growing counties in the state. We also have many state mandates. We are mandated to maintain buildings, provide office space to the various county offices. We have a court system we have to support. We have the sheriff's office. We're required to maintain the jail. We also have certain things that we will have to be doing. In 2019, we're mandated to purchase new voting machines. That's going to cost the county in excess of $1 million. We also lost revenues. We've had cuts in funding by the state. This is both at the general fund level and also in social services. We also lost the Medicaid sales tax last year of approximately $500,000, and that is going to be felt this year. As a matter of fact, through the month of February, our sales tax revenue is down approximately $34,000. We also currently have sheriff vehicles on the road that have 200,000 plus miles. We've not updated that sheriff's fleet. We've maintained it through repairs, but we've not been able to purchase the needed vehicles to keep those vehicles on the road. One of the greatest needs really is the fleet, the vehicle fleet that we have, and the capital improvements on buildings. As a matter of fact, last week or 2 weeks ago, when we had all that snow, 4 of our maintenance trucks went down, 4 of our plow trucks went down. 3 of those plow trucks were slated to be replaced, or the request was made to replace those trucks, but unfortunately we didn't have the finances to do so. So we were in the process of getting those repaired. We need to perform needed capital improvements, and we need to continue maintenance of county buildings. Currently, up at the Human Services Building in Northland, we have a wall that's getting ready to fall over. I've been told that that wall is going to be in excess of $100,000 to fix. We also have the opioid epidemic And as you all know, the opioid epidemic is nationwide, and Medina County has not been spared the effects of that epidemic. And it's taxed the court system, it's taxed the law enforcement, and it's also taxed social services. The current levies that we have in Medina County, they don't benefit the general fund. We do have a MCDAC levy, which is for drug enforcement. We have the county home levy that is for the county home and the running of the county home. There are library levies, there are health department levies, DD board levies, park system, but none of those benefit the general fund. And a lot of people don't understand that the general fund in government is the main operating fund. Revenues for specific purposes, such as grants, revenues generated through water or sewer operations, can only be used for those specific operations. They cannot be used for the general operations of the county. Well, what falls into the general operations of the county? Your courts, your sheriff, your auditor, your treasurer, the prosecutor's office, public defender's office. Those are all funded through mainly property taxes and sales tax. A 0.2% sales tax would generate approximately $5.3 million in the first year. One of the nice things about this tax is that it is specific to criminal justice services. So hopefully as the population increases, the sales tax will also increase to help pay for those services. The criminal justice services, it's approximately 63% of the general fund budget. That's significant. When we made cuts back in 2008, 2009, the sheriff's office was about 27% of the general fund budget, and they took a very hard hit. We laid off deputies. We had to close a jail pod, secretaries. All the departments within the county lost employees. We eliminated a department. We cut back significantly in our capital spending, and it's starting to catch up to us where we need to start putting money into our infrastructure. How will the additional tax be used? As I mentioned, this tax is specific to criminal justice services, court operations, the sheriff, prosecutor, coroner, adult probation, and public defender. One of the things that we need to do and are currently working on is upgrading the 911 and radio systems. This is a state mandate. They're currently changing the requirements for this system so that it's interoperable with all the other counties within the state and even other states. It's actually a national mandate. We're going to be updating the sheriff's fleet, and hopefully we'll be placing more deputies on the roads. One of the neat things about Medina County is it's a great place to raise a family. The crime rate in Medina is low, and that's in part due to the job that our deputies and our law enforcement officers perform. We also need to expand the courthouse and renovate the courthouse to comply with the Supreme Court requirements. We currently have an adult probation department in the basement of the courthouse, and unfortunately it's an old building. There's no fire suppression system in that building. There are issues with employees being able to get out should there be a fire. There's also issues should something happen while one of the probation officers are with a client. And I'm going to be quite upfront with you. If this sales tax passes, it's going to generate about $5.3 million, and that money will be used for criminal justice services and will be used to expand some of those services. But it's also going to free up money in the general fund. And that money will be able to be used to purchase the new voting machines. We'll be able to perform the needed capital maintenance on the county buildings. We'll also be able to maintain and do renovations, maintain current county buildings. We'll also be able to provide monies to children's services and senior services, including adult protective services, opioid treatment and recovery. One of the things that this opioid epidemic has done is it's taxed our social service system. Several years ago, we had about 30 children that we had in custody. Currently, we're in excess of 80. You know, we are responsible for paying this kinship monies to those foster parents or to relatives who have those children. Senior services, our senior population is increasing. Adult protective services, that's something that's extremely important. And then obviously the opioid treatment and recovery. These are all things that are needed to help maintain the quality of life here in Medina County and to continue keeping our crime rate at a low level. You know, people would say, why doesn't the county cut as expensive as it needs money? The county does maintain a balanced budget, and unlike my personal budget or a private company, we're mandated to provide certain services. We're mandated to provide the Court of Common Pleas. We're mandated to provide the Sheriff's Department and to house inmates. We're mandated to, you know, collect property taxes through the Treasurer's Office and value property through the Auditor's Office. So there's things that we can't cut. There are things that when I go out and I buy a sheriff's vehicle, if I go out and buy a vehicle for myself, I can make a choice of buying a used vehicle or buying a high-end vehicle. I can't do that with a sheriff's vehicle. It has to meet certain criteria, certain specifications. Those vehicles are going to cost me somewhere between $23,000 and $30,000. Then on top of purchasing the vehicle, I need to go out, I need to get it striped, I need to put light bars on it, I need to put a cage in the back seat. That's going to cost me another $8,000 plus. So state mandates increase costs significantly. Also, anytime that the county does a capital improvement, we are required to pay prevailing wages. That also increase the cost of our maintenance costs. You know, expenses continue to rise. You know, inflation hasn't stopped. So our costs have continued to go up. You know, we've cut capital spending significantly over the last 10 years. We've also cut personnel. We're still not to the same levels as we were back in 2008. And another thing to note is in 2017, our revenue was 4.6% greater than that in 2007. In 2016, our revenues, general fund revenues, equaled the 2007 revenues. And then in 2017, we actually surpassed it by 4.68%. So we've done, in my opinion, we've done a great job of maintaining our expenses, cutting our expenses, finding ways to save money. And we've been very fiscally responsible. And we will continue to be fiscally responsible and fiscally conservative. So what sacrifices has the county made to balance the budget? As I previously mentioned, we cut capital spending. The courthouse expansion is on hold. We've not replaced our vehicle fleets. We have old vehicles in the fleet. And we've not updated technology. You know, we can only cut spending so far before we start becoming ineffective and inefficient. And we're to the point now where, in my opinion, we're still effective. We're operating extremely efficiently. But there are things we can do to be even more efficient. And one of the things we can do is to update our technology. You know, I also hear the question, why was 0.5% given to the schools that was needed for the general fund? And Medina County is extremely fortunate because we have a great school systems within the county. And at the time that the sales tax was given to the school districts and given to the voters to vote on, the schools had an aging infrastructure. And it was felt at that time that it would benefit the residents and the schools if the sales tax, if 0.5% was given to schools for their capital improvements. This would keep property taxes at a minimum and would help the schools, would prevent additional property taxes from being levied to meet the needs of the aging infrastructure. So this was a way Medina County could assist the schools in covering their capital costs and keep property taxes lower for residents within the county. Now people ask, well, if you raise it now, how much higher can you raise the sales tax? The county can only raise sales taxes to 1.5%. Currently, Medina County is at 1%. And that is 0.5% comes to the county and 0.5% goes to the school districts. This tax will take Medina County to 1.2%, and the ability to raise taxes only another 0.3%. Another question I hear, isn't the county expecting a large amount of money from Nexus? Yes, we are, and I'll take every penny that we get from Nexus. It's estimated that we're going to receive approximately $1.2 million. That amount is expected to decline as the pipeline is depreciated. And we should see those taxes collected sometime in 2020. I'm somewhat skeptical about the amount, though, because the casino revenue, when the casinos came in and pitched the casinos in Ohio, they gave us an estimated revenue of about $3.4 million. The most the county has ever seen from casino revenue is 2.1 on an annual basis. That's only about 62% of what was estimated. So the $1.2 million, I hope it's 1.2. I hope it's more than $1.2 million. But I am somewhat skeptical about that number. And it will help greatly. Unfortunately, it doesn't address the operational needs of Medina County at this point in time. The $1.2 million will be received in 2020, and it's already spent, as I've already allocated that money to purchase the new voting machines that were mandated to purchase. I'll also say, well, you're raising the sales tax, it's going to be higher than some of the surrounding counties. That's true. It will be. But will it hurt Medina County businesses? I don't think it will. Because I have to ask myself, would I drive from my home to Fairlawn to Worcester to save 20 cents on a $100 purchase? I would not. I don't think most people would. Now, this sales tax, if you have $10,000 in discretionary income that you can go out and spend on taxable items, you're going to spend an additional $20. We're not talking a lot of money per household that's going to be charged or that's going to cost a household. What will happen if the tax does not pass? Well, if the tax doesn't pass, as I've mentioned before, Medina County is extremely fiscally conservative, and we will continue to balance our budget, and we will continue to do that through the lack of capital spending on our buildings and on vehicles. We will look for additional ways to cut expenses, and we will do everything we can to maintain that budget. But if this tax does not pass, I've already been approached by several agencies for senior citizens, for children's services, and for mental health services, asking me, saying, hey, if the sales tax doesn't pass, we want to put a property tax levy on the ballot. One of the interesting things, and let me go back and let me make sure I mentioned correctly about the surrounding counties. Lorain has a 6.75% sales tax. Cuyahoga is at 8%. Summit is at 6.75. Wayne is at 6.5%. And Ashland is at 7%. Summit County, Wayne County, and Ashland County would all have sales tax rates less than Medina's should the 0.2% tax pass. But Summit County has a 2.95% mil property tax for mental health services. They have a 2.25% mil property tax on for children's services. Wayne County has a 1 mil property tax on for mental health and a 1.8 mil property tax on for children's services. And Ashland has a 1 mil property tax on for senior citizens and a 1 mil mental health property tax levy. Medina County has none of those. Those services are all funded and subsidized through the general fund and then the funding that they receive through grants. So Medina is very fortunate because our tax rates are significantly below some of the surrounding counties. So if the sales tax, again, if the sales tax does not pass, it is expected that property tax levies will appear on the ballot over the next few years. And this will be for senior citizens, mental health, and children's services. We ask, well, how do our communities benefit from the sales tax? Well, one of the ways that they will benefit is through increased public safety. Also, increased safety in county buildings. Right now, as I mentioned, over in our courthouse, there are issues with in the basement where adult probation is located. It's not a safe environment. We also have individuals. We've got police officers and inmates walking through to courts, mixed with the population, residents, people going in to get their marriage licenses or visiting the clerk of courts. So by this task will allow us to actually expand the courthouse, to put sally ports in, to maintain the prisoners going to court separate from our judges, from our employees. It will allow us to do fire suppression systems. A lot of different things that need to be done in order to meet the requirements of the Supreme Court. It will also eliminate the need for additional property taxes or fund children's services, senior citizens, and mental health and drug addiction for the foreseeable future. I'm not going to say that those levies will never be placed on the ballot, but $5.3 million is a lot of money for the county, and that money can be used and will be used for law enforcement, freeing up the monies necessary to fund these other services and the capital improvements. Another nice thing about this property tax is individuals from outside the county help cover the cost of the safety forces within Medina County. I heard the other day the dispatch supervisor of the sheriff's office indicate that we're approximately 42,000 phone calls to dispatch in 2017. And over half of those were on 71 and 76, people passing through the county. So this tax, it will bring in money from outside the county to help fund these safety forces. It will also provide more efficient operations from your county government. Currently the county's payroll system and accounting system is from 1999. And having an accounting background, I can tell you that it's a terrible system, in my opinion. And this will allow us to upgrade those systems. I shouldn't say it's a terrible system; it's outdated, and it needs to be upgraded. There's also, pride in the conditions of county buildings. I actually have a letter here from the Adult Probation Department, and they indicate, a few years ago they were honored when the Ohio Supreme Court chose the drug court to be one of 3 departments in Ohio to profile a documentary. However, the process was tempered by having denied them filming access in the department because of the unprofessional aesthetics of the department. And in the same vein, she indicates that they have declined dozens of visits throughout the years from federal judges, colleagues, and vendors who have wanted to meet in their offices due to the overall condition of the department. So as a result, they've had to meet off premises, which is not often the most efficient practice. So, the county buildings, when you go into a county and you see their courthouse or you see their county buildings, there's a reflection upon the community, and there is a pride issue there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to end the slideshow. I'm going to go ahead and take questions. You can ask questions through your computer, or if you're on a mobile device, you can dial *6 and ask the question that way. Also, if you have any questions that you would like, you may come up with after this presentation, please feel free to give me a call at the number showing, 330-722-9201, and I will do whatever I can to answer those questions.